It's a dictatorship. It's a soft dictatorship. Back home, the country I came from, they used to pull nails to torture people. Body disappear. Now they're doing it in Canada in a soft way. They'll throw what they call at you criminal harassment motivated by hate. They have so many things to control us and to chain us like a slave. It's a hidden chain. And we need to break that chain. And we need to tell that ex-husband, we call crime minister, time to let the Canadian be free of you and your ideology and the division you've been feeding us for the past 8, 10, whatever years, because we're sick of you. If your wife left you, we need to leave you alone.
Adam Saucier for Rebel News, once again on location at City Hall in downtown Calgary, where a Muslim-led protest against LGBTQ indoctrination in schools is underway. A few of these events have escalated significantly with large crowds on both sides. Today, the counter-protest seems very small. The protest itself smaller than we have seen in prior weeks as well. Not expecting too much escalation, but we will remain on the scene and bring you updates of the event as it unfolds. This is, of course, part of our StopClassroomGrooming.com coverage, covering protests like this right across the country on this important issue, and bring them to you all there at StopClassroomGrooming.com.
I want to tell each and everyone out there that freedom is one style. The God is one. Freedom is one. The air we breathe is one. Don't tell me the division Mr. Trudeau and his gang are implementing and dividing our society. It's a healthy thing. This thing they are doing is to control us, is to destroy us, and to take us where some people got lost in 1990, what we used to call Union Soviet, Communist, and whatever we call it. This must stop, this must end, and we will stand to protect, to defend, and keep this country once free like it was, and it will be free because there's a free people like you.
I'm now joined by protest organizer Mahmoud Moura. I guess first off, I'll just ask you if there's been any update as far as the legal proceedings with you, or is that just still before the courts?
Just still on court process. I have lawyer in place and everything going fine. I have a good lawyer. I have full faith in him. And then I learned one thing. That's there's so many people were charged by criminal harassment motivated by hate. I'm the first one to be brown skin. So that's a unique thing for me, and I guess I broke the spell to be something special.
That's incredible. For folks who aren't aware, as an extension of an online argument and discussion, effectively, Mahmoud Moura, coincidentally, right around the time these protests started, was charged with criminal harassment. Extending from that, one of the conditions prohibits him from attending LGBTQ protests. He can, however, attend these protests. The question I wanted to ask you today, and I'm partially to blame for this, but we've spent a lot of time explaining to folks that you don't hate the LGBTQ, and you don't. That's self-evident, I think, to anyone who meets you. But let's talk about the other side a little bit. They spend a lot of time saying that they too just care about safeguarding kids. Do you believe that that's true, or do you believe that there's something else?
Absolutely, I don't think that's true. I believe there's a bigger agenda, and I believe they are been written, someone using them, some political. There's one kind of freedom. I don't care if you're black, Chinese, LGBT, straight. Freedom is one, and you could change the people. The sad reality now, they're trying to take our right as parents, how to raise and what to talk and what to teach our kids.
All those kids who are, involved in, say, the Gay Street Alliance or whatever, I don't even know if we have that anymore in our school. They're here when we did Ramadan for Lion Time, and they're showing respect in the class for your religion, right, for your beliefs. It goes two ways. If you want to be respected for who you are, if you don't want to suffer prejudice for your religion, your color of skin, your whatever, then you better give it back to people who are different from you. That's how it works. It's an exchange.
If they are literally fair and square, they should come and degrade what did that teacher do to that kid in Edmonton, what happened in Ontario. We're side by side with them. There's no problem what kind of kids we have. We all agree kids are kids. If my son 8 or 10 years old, I'm not going to let him watch a horror movie, and even if it's educational, because he won't sleep for the next year, for God's sake. What gives you the right to come and expose my son to sexual content? As a parent, as a father or a mother, we won't discuss that matter with our kids. I believe a lot of the LGBT community, we have some of the gay against groomer are with us, and a lot of the LGBT people should take our stand, because we need to protect all kids, not a specific kid, not Muslim kids, not a Christian kid, not Jewish kids. All kids should be protected, should be free of all ideology till they are responsible, like 18. I heard in Saskatchewan, they did amazing work in Saskatchewan. They said now parent has a first choice to how to raise and what to say to their kids, he or she, no pronounce and start announcement school. This is amazing. That's what we want. And like for my gay, straight, whatever LGBT people, I have no issue with them. We've lived with them for like years and years, and we're going to live because we share this country, we share this earth, but they should leave our kids alone.
Our freedom and how to raise our kids and let them be a patriotic Canadian citizen. They'll do and die and live for this country. No one will take this right away from us. You know what? I have many brothers and sisters here coming to stand for one cause and how to protect our kids, how to defend our kids. So please, let's join together, regardless what you believe in, regardless what we have in our mind. Our differences should be put aside, because there's one freedom banner we should raise and believe in, the freedom of each and every one, and how to raise his family, what to do, what to decide, not to be afraid he might lose his job, not to be afraid he might lose his opportunity to work. And there's so many things that taking place in this country that dictating us. It's a dictatorship. It's a soft dictatorship.
I'm here with the executive director of the Alberta Parents Union, Jeff Park. The question I have for folks is we've spent a lot of time sort of explaining away that the concerns of parents who don't want their kids exposed to indoctrination isn't based in hatred. I think folks that are paying attention by now, they probably know that. We don't need to spend more time covering that basis. But what I do want to ask folks is about the intention of the folks on the other side, the counter-protesters. They'd probably also argue that their intention is just to protect kids. Do you believe that narrative? Do you think there's something else to it? Do you think they're misguided? What do you think is going on with the other side of this conversation?
Sure. I think that they may very well genuinely believe that they're protecting kids. But if that's the case, then they're just not listening to this side of the street. Even the ones that have been here for all four protests, counter-protesting it, if that's what they believe, they just must not be listening, because no one here wants kids to be bullied. Last time I spoke here at this location, I said that I don't believe that bullying is some dial that you have to turn to where some kids get bullied and some kids don't. And the counter-protesters booed me for that statement. So I just don't understand what the objection is. We're calling on kids. Of course, no one should be bullied or no one should be harassed because of their sex or gender or their sexual expression. But equally...
Or their religion or whatever it may be.
Exactly. Equally, no one should be harassed for their religion or national origin, like Mansour was, which kicked off these protests in the first place, or for their closely held beliefs of any kind. And that's what K-12 education is not supposed to be about, enforcing one heavily popular, government-endorsed viewpoint on every topic. It's supposed to be about free inquiry. And when we have curriculum that is trying to focus on teaching kids facts, we always hear, well, what about teaching kids how to engage in free inquiry? But if that free inquiry comes to unapproved conclusions, then it's right out. So that's what this protest is about. I don't think anyone I think they do genuinely feel that they're protecting trans kids, but I don't think anyone who says that can actually be listening to what we're saying on this side.
Back home, the country I came from, they used to pull nails to torture people. Body disappear. Now they're doing it in Canada in a soft way. They'll throw what they call at you criminal harassment motivated by hate. They have so many things to control us and to chain us like a slave. It's a hidden chain. And we need to break that chain. And we need to tell that ex-husband, we call crime minister, time to let the Canadian be free of you and your ideology and the division you've been feeding us for the past 8, 10, whatever years, because we're sick of you. If your wife left you, we need to leave you as well.
I can attest to government overreach in a big way, and that's what we see here with the kids, is government overreach. They think that they can be between a parent and his children, and it makes no sense to even contemplate that being a reality, because the bond between a child and their parent is undescribable. It's something that goes beyond the physical into the realm of love and spirituality. You do anything for your child, and the government trying to wedge in between that relationship is despicable, and it's the worst government overreach that I could really point at happening right now.
Well, very happy now to be joined by Devlin again, and we've had the opportunity to interview you a couple of times. First, after the sort of initial incident where there was sort of a trip up with a cop and a whole situation unfolded. Then when you were not allowed to attend protests, we interviewed you in robot form a few times. You rolled up on a screen. That was very entertaining. For folks out there who aren't familiar with your story, maybe give them a bit of a background and then an update as to the terms and conditions that have changed.
Well, I've been at the rallies in Calgary and kind of like all across Alberta, different places for a while. As you explained, there was a trip up with police, as we could put it, and that's putting it pretty lightly. But they're trying to charge me with assault of a police officer after I was essentially like gang beat by a group of them in a park in front of lots of people. And through the process of the courts and all of the back and forth conversations and emails with the Crown and different lawyers representing me, it's been a journey. And at this point today, literally 2 hours ago, I finally got the condition dropped of being banned from protests and rallies in Canada. So that was, almost a year and a half of a constitutional right being just taken away. And here I am, like 2 hours later, finally at a rally and ready to get right back in the swing of it, because I was eager to be there and happy to be here now too. So,
well, the event is set to finish up here very soon. It certainly was not one of the larger of these protests, but in the end there was probably at least 100 people, if not a couple more than that, in attendance here. The counter protesters have all but dissipated. At most we saw maybe a dozen people on that side of the protest. There is more of these protests planned in the relatively near future. It remains to be seen how attendance will be for those events, but one thing is absolutely clear: concerned parents and citizens right across this country are going to continue to stand up and speak out against indoctrination from the LGBTQ community, and more importantly from LGBTQ lobbyists and political activists right across this country. These parents, these concerned citizens, they are not going anywhere. You can find all of our reports on this important subject at stopclassroomgrooming.com. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Sos. Just off camera here with me, we actually have two security guards, one for myself and one for our cameraman, because unfortunately some of the folks you see on the other side of the street, maybe not them particularly, but folks associated with the counter protest, at times they utter threats, the least of what we get. We have had instances where our journalists have been shoved and pushed at venues just like this. In fact, at protests held by this very same community just a few weeks ago, we did see altercations arise, and we are sometimes, in order to bring you the other side of the story, right in the middle of it. That's why we have to security, in order to make sure that we are safe. You can help us pay for that security, because it doesn't come cheap, at journalistdefensefund.com.